Very disturbing news from Idaho, where an Idaho Senate panel has given preliminary approval to a bill which would allow teachers in public schools, mind you, to use the Bible for so-called reference purposes in classes including astronomy, biology, and geology. And it makes perfect sense, Lewis. I remember when I was in Astronomy 101 at the University of Massachusetts, and we were talking about parsecs and gravity and all these things. And I said, what this class really needs is the biblical view on all of this stuff, because I don't think I'm getting the whole picture.
I think we used to use the Bible all the time. See, when the projector wasn't high enough,
Right.
we would put the Bible under it. I think that's the best use for it in science classes.
A Democratic senator questioned why this is even necessary, because the Bible can already be used by teachers in public schools to make to highlight biblical allusions in history and literature. But State Senator Nuxall, who is the sponsor of this, said, no, we need this bill in order to highlight the importance of using the Bible in astronomy and biology and geology. She said also, a lot of teachers are scared to use the Bible. I haven't met any of those teachers, Lewis. And then State Senator Janie Ward Engelking, who's a Democrat, reminded Nuxall that her measure could also allow other religious texts to be used in school, but the Republican lawmaker said, no, this is specifically about the Bible because the Bible is embedded in American culture. I can guarantee you, Lewis, that the second a teacher says, hey, today for geology class, the Quranic view on erosion, State Senator Nuxall is not going to be pleased about that.
No, she would... Dave, I don't know what she would do. She would probably spontaneously self-combust. But yeah, of course, it's always about Christianity, and they're not afraid to admit that.
The state senator who is doing this entire thing, Cheryl Nuxall, is, just to give you a little bit of context is important. This is the same politician who compared the Affordable Care Act to the Holocaust in 2013, which, as we know, is sort of the calling card of extremist right-wing lunatics. There's no doubt about what this actually is. It's an attempt that's not even that subtle to put one particular set of religious beliefs back in the classroom. And as we know, Lewis, this specifically applies to Christianity. What exactly is the expectation of public school education when you insist that the arbitrary religious texts of one religion be part of a modern science class? I mean, how is that going to prepare students to enter the real world outside of maybe working at like that Kentucky creationist theme park? For the most part, having a biblical view on astronomy doesn't prepare you for the real world.
Yeah, like our education system isn't bad enough already. But there are instances of this that pop up now and then. Luckily, this is a battle that we're winning. And more often than not, this type of stuff is being removed from the classroom.
Have you seen the textbooks in Texas?
Yes, I have. I'm aware of Texas, but
Yeah.
hey, look, in Louisiana a couple of years ago, we
Yeah.
discussed how the, I think it was the New Orleans school
It was like
district.
one particular parish, I think. I mean,
It was, but it was. I mean, it was one that encompassed a lot of schools and a lot of students.
but I think
and
it
they
was
did
what-
away with all of this
It's
nonsense.
what we would call a small victory.
But these small victories are happening too.
Yeah, the small victories do happen. Hey, listen, at least the great thing is in astronomy now, they can start teaching that the sun revolves around the earth, and they can say, look, hey, the Bible, science. I mean, we're allowed to do this. We have a bill that says we can do this. And that would be pretty disturbing. Lewis, if you found out that in public school, your kid, which you don't have, but hypothetically you could someday, was being taught astronomy or geology or biology with the Bible, would you all of a sudden be very involved in the Parent-Teacher Association?
I would be very involved, or I wouldn't be involved at all, and I would just homeschool that child or move that child to another school.
Interesting, because most homeschooling is overwhelmingly done by religious Christian conservatives because they don't want their kids learning the public school material. It would be sort of the opposite scenario all of a sudden.
Yes, and wouldn't you do the same thing?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not big into homeschooling. We've talked about that before. I think for socialization purposes and for a lot of other reasons. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what I would do if all of a sudden my kid came home and said, here's my astronomy assignment. What does Genesis say about the heavens and the earth? I mean, I would lose it. There's no question about that. On today's bonus show, Fox goes all in on rated R superhero movies. China is building the world's largest radio telescope, and there's a large reward offered for a missing time capsule. Lewis will tell us about his middle school time capsule experience. All of those stories and more coming up after today's show.